Hello, my name is Rakos and welcome back to Peaky Boardgamer. Today I will teach you another upcoming game by Waterworks Games, Red Dog Junction. The game is designed by Tyler and Brandon Cheeves and will be up on Kickstarter very soon. This here is a prototype, and this means that what you hear or see in this video might change in the future. In the game, you are the captain of a cargo freighter spaceship in command of a crew which you can adjust by gaining new cards in a way that best suits your strategy. Then you go out in space, collecting and trading cargo and also accomplishing objectives in order to gain victory points. All this done in a very straightforward and exciting way, and there's also a little bit of stealing that increases the fun factor of the game. Let's move to the table and see how the game is played. In the game, players are captains of a rogue freighter loading and unloading cargo in space. Players alternate turns, performing two actions. Major actions include moving from one location into space and vice versa, mining on a planet to get a corresponding resource. While in space, you can salvage scrap or other resources that other players may jettison in space when exceeding their allowed cargo limit. Players can trade resources when docked on the Red Dog Junction location, purchase gold by visiting Jose's Haberdashery, gaining valuable victory points. Players have a crew which determines the efficiency of these actions, the ship's capacity, the ability to mine or salvage, etc. As an action, players may also acquire additional cards to enhance this efficiency or gain additional bonuses and actions. Once all gold in the game is loaded into players' storages, the game ends, and after scoring, the player with the most points will win in Red Dog Junction. Place the Red Dog Junction tile in the middle of the table. Then surround it with the 4 planet tiles and the Haberdashery tile. Each player starts with a home base tile, which they place near their play area. You have just formed the playing area of the game, and the table area between tiles is outer space. Place the supply tray at one side of the table. If this is a 2 or a 3 player game, as in our case, you must remove 10 gold cubes from the game. Then take all scrap cubes and scatter them in the outer space area. Take all super deal tiles and separate them to the ones awarding 6 and 8 gold cubes. After you randomize each stack, place them both on the Haberdashery tile. Place the D4 die in the central die space of the Red Dog Junction and set it on value 1. Then roll all D6 dice and place them randomly on the other die spaces of the tile. Search the cards of the game and separate the starting cards indicated by this symbol and the number. With these cards, create 5 same starting sets. Each player takes one of these sets and arranges them near their personal play area, face up as I show you. Players start with 1 agent card, 1 miner card, 1 scavenger card and 3 cowboy cards, forming their starting crew. Remaining starting sets return to the box. Players also take a ship which is docked on their home base tile. Players can also use these handy player aid cards. Remaining cards are shuffled together in a face-down draw deck. Then flip the top 6 cards face up. Select a player at random to be the starting player. Following a clockwise player order, players 1 and 2 start the game with 1 gold from the supply. Players 3 and 4 start with 2 gold, and the 5th player starts with 3 gold. The game is now ready to start. Players alternate turns, starting with the first player and continuing clockwise. This is done indefinitely until the game ends. On your turn, you can execute up to 2 actions. These actions can be either same or different. This here is the list of actions, and I will now explain each one in detail. Each player has a home base tile. Your base holds your personal storage. If your ship is docked there, as it is at the beginning of the game, then as an action you can load and or unload any number of commodities between your ship's cargo and your storage. The limit of commodities you can hold in your ship at any time depends on the number of cowboy cards in your crew. Each card grants +2 capacity, so you start the game with a total ship capacity of 6 commodities. Please note that your ship can never hold more than 12 commodities regardless the number of cowboys in your crew. Important! During your turn you can exceed your ship's capacity, but when your turn ends you must jettison excess commodities in the outer space area. This is not regarded an action and the player chooses which commodities will be jettisoned. The most basic action is move. When you perform this action, you move your ship either from a location into space or from space onto a location. So I could move as my first action from my home base into space, and I may spend my second action to move again and go to this planet. Important! You can never move to an opponent's home base, and also all location tiles can host only one ship, so the location you move onto must be vacant. Exception is the Red Dog Junction that has 6 docking locations and each of these can host one ship. Another exception is that you can move your ship between 2 junction docks with only one move, so without having to move into space first. Space is a common area that can accommodate any number of ships at the same time. Next we have the mine action. If you are docked on one of the 4 planet locations, then as an action you can mine the specific commodity supplied by the planet. The number of cubes you gain in a single action depends on the number of miners in your crew. You start the game with 1 miner and each miner lets you mine 1 cube per action. At this point you should note that commodity supplies are limited. If there are not enough in the supply tray, you take as much as you can. If your ship is located in space, then you can perform the salvage action and load commodities that exist anywhere in space onto your ship. The number of cubes you can grab depends on scavenger cards in your crew. Each card allows the salvage of 1 cube per action, and you start the game with only 1 such card. Important! When you mine or salvage, you must use all of your crew and take the full amount of resources if possible. Cubes in excess of your cargo limit will have to be jettisoned at the end of your turn, as explained earlier. The next action is trade. In order to trade, you must be docked in one of the Red Dog Junction locations. Each trade transaction is made between the bank and commodities on your ship, never with other players. Which commodities you can trade and in what ratio depends on the location your ship is docked. You can trade the commodities corresponding to the dice colors adjacent to your dock, as well as gold, indicated by the pyramid die in the middle, which is regarded adjacent to all stations. Example: in this case I can only trade gold, rubies and oxygen. The value of dice indicates the rate of each trade. So in our case I could trade 2 rubies to gain 4 oxygen, or if I wanted I could spend 4 oxygen to gain 2 rubies. Or spend 2 rubies to gain 1 gold, or spend 1 gold to gain 4 oxygen. Important! You cannot make changes in these ratios. So you cannot, for example, spend 1 ruby to gain 2 oxygen or 6 oxygen to gain 3 rubies. Let's say I choose to spend 2 rubies to gain 4 oxygen. That was 1 trade transaction. Every agent in your crew allows you to either do 1 trade transaction or alter 1 adjacent D6 die by plus or minus 1. Remember that you cannot turn a 6 die into a 1 nor a 1 die into a 6. So back to our example, if I had 2 agents in my crew, I could now make a second trade transaction, same or different, or instead of a transaction I could alter 1 of these dice by plus or minus 1. In comparison to mining and salvaging, when you trade you don't have to use all of your agents. Another action is to purchase gold. If you are docked in Jose's Haberdashery, then as an action you may choose one of the visible tiles, spend the commodities depicted on the top of the tile, and gain the amount of gold indicated in the bottom. The commodities you spend must be on your ship, and any gold you gain must also be placed on your ship. Finally, you take the tile and keep it next to your home base. As an action, you may also acquire 1 card from the card market. You can perform this action regardless where your ship is located. In the top left corner of each card there are 2 cost options. After you pay the required commodities, you place the card next to your play area. Important! These commodities must come from the storage of your home base and not your ship's cargo. Finally, you replenish the empty space with a new card from the supply. Some cards will affect your efficiency when performing the actions we explained, while others grant you different actions and abilities. Let's check them out. Crew cards are added to your other crew cards and increase your action capabilities. For example, if I gain another scavenger card, I will place it here, and from now on I will gain 2 resources when I salvage. There are also another 3 types of crew cards that can only be acquired during the game. Outlaws enable you to perform the swap action. You may only perform swap if you are located in space. You then select one opponent's ship, also in space, and you swap goods between the 2 ships 1 to 1. Each outlaw allows you to swap 2 commodities, even gold. The player performing the swap action selects which goods will be swapped, and the opponent cannot refuse. A rustler enables you to perform the displace action. When performing this action, you select any docked ship, even your own, and undock it, placing it into the space area. Important, you cannot do the opposite. Each rustler allows you to make 1 displacement per action. The last crew card type is the rascal. At the beginning of your turn, rascals can temporarily become a card of any crew type, even crew types you don't yet have, like rustlers or outlaws. This effect remains until the beginning of your next turn. At that time, the effect is reset and you may choose the same or different type of crew types for your rascals. Except on crew cards, there are also boost cards. Boost cards have a one-time effect. There are 18 different effects. I cannot explain them in this video, but are pretty straightforward, and you can pause the video now to check them out. You need to spend one of your actions to use a boost card, but all boost cards give you an extra action. After use, boost cards are discarded. Finally, we have officer cards. Each officer grants you a unique ongoing effect after acquired. There are only 5 types of officers. I will not explain them, but again you can pause the video to check what each card does. I have left for the end the pass action. You can always pass as an action, so you can perform just 1 or even no action during your turn. The game ends as soon as the last gold resource is placed in players' storages. If that happens during the player's first action, there will be no second action and you immediately proceed to scoring. In scoring, players score the victory points depicted on their acquired cards, victory points granted from super deal tokens, and also 1 victory point for each gold resource in their storage. After tallying up the score, the player with the most points wins. In case of a tie, the tied player with the most unplayed boost cards wins. If the tie still exists, the winner is the player with the most crew cards. After that, all tied players share their victory. And that were the rules of Red Dog Junction by Waterworks Games. Stay tuned for the game's upcoming Kickstarter, which will be on very soon. If you like our videos and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have fun and play more board games.